people in my community know. So there's a bunch of people that are gonna take different information home, probably. I labeled this brain or pain. I'm a lifelong resident of Lewis County. My story started back in 1981 when I was in high school. I hurt my back, wasn't supposed to wrestle, but I had a doctor that said, I'm not gonna tell you you can't wrestle your senior year. I was decent at it, I wasn't a state champ by any means. I doctored through it and lived with the pain. Married my wife Cindy 37 years ago, 10 days from tomorrow. We were both in high school. She's a saint. I guess I'd say I'm the sinner. I started working in the feed industry in 1981, following in my dad's footsteps. By 1988, I was managing one plant. By 1996, I was managing two. By 1999, I was covering six plants in New York, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. I was in charge of building them. I built 3 new plants at the cost of about $30 million apiece. I could hardly walk by the time I was done in 2002. So I started doctoring again. I was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease. My doctor told me I had the back of a 65-year-old and I was 40. I was successful at what I did. I loved what I did. I was a fire chief in our community. I had 2 kids. Both of them were extremely successful. But I started seeing a neurosurgeon and a spine specialist. And also was diagnosed with spondylolithosis, which is a narrowing of the spinal column that pinches the spinal cord to the point that my knees would go numb and I would fall. And it was without warning. It didn't matter if I had a cane. It didn't matter if I had a walker. Once your knees go numb, you have to hold yourself up or you fall. In October 18th of 2003, I went in to have some surgery on my spine. It's called spinal fusion. They inserted some rods and some pins and what they call L5S1. For those of you that don't know, it's a lower portion of your spine that attaches to your sacrum or your pelvic area. When I left the hospital, I left with a 60-day month habit for Oxycontin, oxycodone, hydrocodone. Over the next 6 months, we continued doctoring, and the amounts increased to 90 pills per month. When I met with my doctor in May of 2004, the surgeon was still on disability, was still on pain. At that time, Cargill, the company that I worked for, because I had reached my 6 months, had kicked me loose. I'm now on long-term disability. In 2003, I made $94,000. We met with a surgeon and he said, we got to do another procedure on me. So I went through what's called a discography. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's where they go in and check your spine with fluids so you can tell them where it hurts. And they don't give you pain medicine for it, they don't knock you out, because you have to tell them where it hurts. It's by far the most painful thing I've ever had done. Once we got the results back from the discography, the surgeon said, I did something that I preach against, that I teach against. I operated on you without doing the discography first. Had I known, I would have known that I needed to operate on different discs than the one I operated on. Me living in conservative upstate New York, raised the way I was, I didn't pursue any legal action against it, not knowing that I would never return to work. So, when he was done, he apologized, and he sent me to my regular physician for follow-up pain management. He washed his hands of me. And so we started doctoring again with my doctor, and I started making phone calls. And I found out the best neurosurgeon this side of the Mississippi worked for the Buffalo Bills. And he actually took patients. So I was lucky enough to get in to see him after a long wait. And he did his own series of MRIs, his own series of tests, and he found that I actually had three more discs that were bad. And he said, I'm not going to touch you until you can't walk, because it's that risky what he needed to do. So from 2004 to 2011, the amounts, the hydrocodone and the oxycodone increased, and we were up to 240 pills a month. Finally, in 2011, I fell, and I had my 6-year-old grandson with me. We were looking at puppies down the road, and he had to go back and get my wife so she could come and get me, because I was in the road, I couldn't get up. So she came with the truck and said, okay, now we need to follow up with the surgeons in Buffalo. So we went in and he did his revision. They call it a revision because he took out what the other doctor had screwed up. And now I've got rods from L3, L4, L5, and S1. So I can't twist, I can't bend. And I left his facility. He says, our goal is to make you walk. We're never going to alleviate your pain because of all the nerves that are involved with those sections of the spine. Well, he accomplished his goal. I could walk. I can walk. But I also had a habit of 360 pills per month, which we held to that. We held to that number for quite a few years. And then in 2015, we went to the doctor and we said, look, the pain's getting worse. And we started increasing the level. We switched from hydrocodone and oxycodone to Oxycontin. And my wife went to Tennessee. She had the opportunity to go to Tennessee to see her grandchildren in October. And that's really where things went downhill. By that time, I was taking, the last few months of 2015, I was up to 680 Oxycontin per month, 120 Xanax per month, and 90 Clonidine. The Xanax was so I could sleep. The Clonidine was for restless leg. And the Oxycontin was for the pain. Well, Cindy was in Tennessee. I coined the phrase, brain or pain. I'm a pretty smart guy. I don't mean to boast, but I had to ask myself if I was doing this or if it was my brain. And so the doctor and I had talked, and he felt my greatest chance of success after being on Oxy for 13 years was for me to go to medical detox. So when I left his doctor's office, I started calling around the state. There's one facility north of Route 81 that does medical detox. It's in Canton, Potsdam. They have 6 beds. That's it. They serve 434,000 people. I spent 2.5 hours on the phone with the lady. And her first question was, are you a felon? And are you being referred by the courts? My answers to both were no. Just an average Joe that knows he has a problem and wants to get help. And she said, well, you've got 4 to 5 month waiting period, 120 to 180 days before you could get in. And then she said, how's your financial situation? And I said, well, I've been on disability for 13 years. It's not great. We live paycheck to paycheck. And this was in 2015. It wasn't covered by Obamacare or ACA or whatever you want to call it. She said, you would need $20,000 to come in for a 14-day medical detox. I had that 20 grand. I could sell my truck, I could sell my car, I still wouldn't have 20 grand. My truck's 22 years old. She explained the process. She explained that with court mandates and referrals, that they put the felons through, the addicts, and they'll get treated, and they'll be sent home, and they'll be back in 3 to 5 months. We've got a 50% failure rate. They'll get that back before the Joe Blow. So we decided after that that I probably wasn't going to be able to afford it. I wasn't going to be able to do it. And we checked around some other places, and Saranac Lake has a rehab facility, but they don't do medical detox. Saranac Lake is a great facility. I have a friend of mine that just came out of there. They can get you in, but it takes 4 to 5 months. Most of the people waiting to get in Saranac Lake are waiting 140 to 180 days in prison before they can get a bed. He waited in prison. He waited in county jail for his bed. But they claim a 93% success rate. And which is in the top 10 in the world. But no medical detox. So you have to go through detox the hard way. I stopped, while Cindy was in Tennessee, I stopped taking my meds. I quit cold turkey. I ran out on purpose. I ran out on the weekend on purpose. By Monday I was sick. I mean, deadly sick. In the hospital sick, waiting for the doctor to get there. And he told me, what you're doing can kill you. That we need to get you back on oxy, and we'll figure out a way to do it. So by that time, Cindy had come home. We're in January of 2016. And we sit down, the three of us, my doctor and I tell him I can't continue to do it. I said, I'm home, but nobody's there. I was in the chair, but I didn't know what was going on around me. I was taking a pill an hour, 21 to 22 pills a day of oxy, and then 4 to 6 pills a day of Xanax, and then 3 pills a day of Clonidine. And so we put together a plan. And the plan was that we would taper. So in January of 2015, I started tapering. Literally by the microwave clock. We'd have 1 minute to every pill. So 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 hour, 2 minutes. And we got to the point where we could go to 6 hours, but we couldn't get further. We couldn't get past 6 hours, as hard as I tried. The withdrawal was so bad. Yeah, we went back to the doctor and he put me on controlled release oxy. And we were finally able to start adding minutes again. And we got to the point where we were taking, we could get to 8 hours and then to 10 hours. And then we finally got to 12 hours. But it was now September 15th of 2016 was the last day that I took OxyContin. That's 200 days from today. So I've been without those. I've been without those for 200 days. And yeah, I count every day. Every day. Somebody asked me, I can tell you exactly how many days it's been since I took the pill. But we have a problem. There's 6 beds for 434,000 people. And there's only one facility that do medical detox. And I don't know how we get around that. I'm not the guy to figure that out. In my job, I was responsible for a lot of things. I've written $1 million grants, $2 million grants. I've done railroad expansions, working with the state of Pennsylvania, New York. So I don't know if there's grants that are out there that somebody can start writing and start the process, and we can get some help in this county, get some beds in this county for the people that need it. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's really through the grace of God and my wife and my doctor, the amount of prayer that we've had, that we've gotten to this point. I wouldn't have been able to do it without Cindy and without God's grace. There's just no way. I mean, my doctor told me, he said, and this is his words, not mine, I've never seen anybody with a 13-year habit that got clean on his own. And I'm here to tell you that we can, but it's not easy. My pain level when I was on was 5 to 6. My pain level today is 6 to 7. There are days that I could take them. There are days that if it was sitting here in front of me, I would probably take it. That's the part of it. I can honestly say that it's hard to stay off them. You have to tell yourself that you're worth it, that they're not. My wife told me recently that the same guy she fell in love with 37 years ago. A really good friend of mine, as close a friend as I have, said, I haven't seen you laugh in 14 years. I was at his house the other day. And he said, it's fun to see you laugh again. He said, I never thought I'd see you laugh again. So, my journey started when I was 40. I'm 53 now. I called my company back to ask them if I could come back to work, because I'm still legally employed. They provide my medical insurance. And they said, Scott, you're too big of a risk. We'd rather pay you to stay home than have you come back to work. And I was good at my job. I was twice recognized as being the top plant manager in the United States out of 183 plants. So my last point, and Mitch is probably going to holler at me for this, but he didn't send me an email hollering at me, so I'm going to state, I hate the word addict. I absolutely despise that word. I hate being called an addict. But I came to the realization while Cindy was gone, I was running out of pills 3 days before I was supposed to, after taking 680 of them, that I was addicted, that I'm an addict. And I'm here telling my story, a story that my family, my personal family, other than my wife, has not heard. They're going to read about it tomorrow. They're going to see it on the news. They're going to see it wherever. But I'm here to tell you that addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you're low income. I only threw my wage out there so you'd understand. It's not just low income people. It's well-to-do people. It's successful people. Didn't become an addict intentionally. Doctors have some responsibility in this. But I firmly believe that it was my brain telling me that I needed the pills and not my pain, which was why this is labeled brain or pain. So I stand here telling you this because I want help. I've reached out to several people already. I reached out to Mitch. I've reached out to the mayor of Port Lyon. If my story will add value someplace, I'm willing to tell it. But that's why I'm here tonight, and I hope that the takeaway from this is it's not just heroin. It's legally prescribed. You think you're doing the right thing. You think because you're getting it from a doctor that you're not an addict, but I'm telling you that you can become addicted, you can become an addict. So that's my story.